What is up, y'all? What's going on? Welcome to me. I know you're normally like, wait, is it Advice Guys? Is it Newberg and Anna? What's going on here? What happened? Did something happen to the machine, to the cosmetic perfection that is all of the podcast under the umbrella of Radio One, of of Newberg Productions? What's going on? I got kind of have like a heavy head, and I want to just brain dump. So if you're not really in the mood to hear some thoughts, some observations, I get it. There's also another Advice Guys episode out today that'll be much funnier and much more interesting. But I'm just going to talk for a bit because I need to. On May 19th, I got a text message from a friend who says, "Hey, buddy," and I'm paraphrasing. He's like, "Hey, buddy," he goes, "my health is kind of going sideways." He's like, "I don't know how much longer I'm going to be here. You're the third funniest person I know, and uh, you know, if you don't understand, you can call the Fountains of Wayne hotline." And then I found out yesterday, the 29th, 10 days later, they just found him. He took his life on the 19th. He just ended it. This was a good friend. This was not a friend that you see constantly, but it's a friend that you know, that you have like roots with, that you still stay in touch with. I remember Eric. Uh, he was so talented. Like, when you have so many questions, you're like, "What? Like, what do you mean? Like, how? Like, how come?" And it's weird because your relationship with death, I guess, starts when you're young and you're reading Tom Sawyer and Huck Finn, and you're like, "Yeah, you know what? I wonder who would come to my funeral." And you romanticize about wanting to know, and then actually someone in your family dies, and you're like, "Yeah, this is tragic. I don't want to know who's going to be there. I don't want to worry about that." And then and then you get older and you get closer to death, and you're like, "I'm certain I don't want to know who's there because I don't want to inconvenience anybody. I mean, like they've got stuff to do, whatever." But you also want to pay your respects, and you want to be thoughtful and analytical and interesting. Anyways, so I meet Eric in 1989. I was going to Oakland County Community College right after high school. Like I didn't have any interest in doing school, but my grandmother was like, "You have to go to college," and I was like, I didn't apply anywhere. I had a opportunity to do Up with People, and I had an opportunity to be in the band. So I wanted to be in the band, and she's like, "Well, if you're going to live in my roof, you know, you're going to go to school." So I took a couple classes at a community college. I think I took theater and an English class and a creative writing class. I think maybe a business class. I don't remember. I didn't take I wasn't there for the purpose of winning. I was just there for the purpose of being like, now what do I do? In Oakland County Community College, Orchard Ridge campus is kind of like it's a commuter school, and a bunch of people would hang out there and smoke and do whatever and just chill in between classes, and you get to meet people. And I had this kid in my class, and I don't remember his name, but he said he was in a band, and we were in a band at the time, or I was in a band at the time. It was my whole world, and he and I became friends and started talking. And he said he gave me his tape, and on this cassette tape was this great song called "This Face Is Stone." And I was like, "Wow, what a really great song!" And I was like, you guys should open for us or perform with us." And they agreed, and they performed with us at 3D. And I got to meet Eric, the singer, and I loved him instantly. I thought he was so funny. He walks out on stage, and he's like, How you?" And I don't remember the name of the band either. I'm a terrible memory in this particular situation. He walks out, and he's like, "How you doing, everybody? We're the Boston Red Sox." And then they went and do a cover of Sailor Said Brandy, which was spot on perfect, like the vocals. And he was just this captivating, interesting, cool kid. And he and I became friends. And through the years, I would always see him uh, at the coolest concerts, according to me, like concerts that I really loved, concerts that I cared about. Like I saw him, I would see him at Delamitri, and I saw him at Delamitri at St. Andrews Hall, And if you're unfamiliar with Delamitri, they had that one big hit with "Look around the world, pretty baby, is it everything that it be?" Roll to me, whatever. That was their hit, the one that bought them houses. But this was like on the Waking Hours record, like before Change Everything came out, before Twisted came out. It was, like it was like, to know Delamitri, you had to be introduced to them because they were getting no airplay anywhere. And my friend Brian Reed, who was in the band at the time, introduced me to Delamitri, and I fell in love. I fell in love with Justin Curry's voice. And if you haven't heard Delamitri and you do like pop music, do yourself a favor. They are spectacular. And I went to the concert by myself, and boom, I saw Eric. He was there, and I remember both of us just like singing "Stone Cold Sober." And oh god, what was the other song? I don't remember. It was a song about skee ball and whatever. But it was great. And it was just like, and then I saw him at the Trash Can Sinatras, and I was like, who else fucking knows who the Trash Can Sinatras are? And uh, you know, they were also the same thing. You had to be. They weren't getting a ton of airplay. This was when 89X was out, and 89X was cool. They weren't playing a ton of stuff. They were just playing like Buffalo Tom and Safe Things. And I also saw him at Jellyfish and Tears for Fears, and obviously more people knew Tears for Fears. But he just was like a brother. Like, he was this kind-hearted, talented dude, and he was so good at what he did. And like, obviously our paths split. He stayed in Michigan. He kind of stopped doing the band stuff, and he started cooking. And I think he was a bartender at a restaurant. And we would talk online every once in a while, and he would just say the funniest things. Like, he was just so. I had no idea that the health he was talking about that was declining was mental. Um, Yesterday, one of his buddies reaches out to me, and I got a friend request from someone who knew him, because the day that I got the text, I have to look and see what it says. The day that I got the text, like, you don't know how to respond to a text like that. Um, he said, or he wrote, and I mean, looking back now, I'm like, well, did I not say enough? He's like, hey, buddy, my health is going south. I just wanted to say that I love you. You're the third funniest person I've ever met, just in case I don't have another chance to say it. Hey, go ahead and call the Fountains of Wayne hotline. They'll explain. Kisses, E. And like, I mean, you get that message, and this is like 9 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, ugh. I first thought, like, oh my gosh, what's wrong? And I think that when you ask someone what's wrong or how they die, it's the equivalent to saying what when someone says something that you don't want to hear. So you hope if you say what, it'll take a second to actually hear it. So uh, I just wrote, I'm so sorry to hear this. I'm really not sure how to respond other than I love you. And you're the coolest person I know. Any chance that it could return north? Uh, what Gerald should I ask for? Which is the Fountains of Wayne hotline reference. And if you don't know the Fountains of Wayne hotline and you know Fountains of Wayne, you're also doing yourself a disservice because it's hilarious, but only if you know Fountains of Wayne. And I have so many questions and so much love. And then I called him and he didn't answer. And then yesterday, I reached out to one of his buddies who friend had requested me. I said, have you heard? And he said, yeah, he took his life. And that's what I was messaging you to say. And I'm like, oh my God. And in that moment, you just like, you don't know what to feel. You don't have any idea how to process it. Like, first off, so many people have reached out to me, so many people, because I posted about it, because I was like, I miss him. I loved him. Like, you have all of these different feelings. Like, I want to punch him in the face, and I want to be like, what the fuck are you doing? And I want to hug him and be like, it's gonna be okay. And I want to tell him there are other options, but it's not what I was thinking. I mean, I was thinking when I heard it, I feel so fortunate that I have my mental health. I've been in some places. I've been in some places like where it's been bad, really bad. And like, I've never once thought of that as the option. And And I'm lucky, and I've known people. I've known a lot of people in the past couple of years who've done that. I guess from what I understand, he lost his job and he was just bummed out about that and he was spiraling. But like, it's a job. Like, but I don't know his financial situation. I mean, I don't know uh, where his head was at. I don't know anything. It's like you don't know, and he didn't say. And like so many people who have messaged and said things like, I got a message that I thought was comforting. Oh, I mean, and again, think like 400 or 500 people reached out and said sorry, and it's insane. And one of the messages I got, it says, "So sorry to hear about your friend. I spent 2 years suicidal about a decade ago. It was the loneliest period of my life. I had a great partnership, lots of friends, but I just couldn't see past the darkness. It's hard to feel like you can explain it to anybody else because it doesn't make sense to you when you're in it. Like part of it is you don't want anyone to try to stop you. I mean, like that is one of the darkest things that like you don't want anyone to try to stop you. I hope you know that from your post, you were a bright spot in your friend's life, someone who made it easier for him to breathe. My journey completed, and then my journey. I love that people do comedy for me. They go, my journey ended with a complete meltdown at a Walmart where I projectile vomited. And to be honest, if you're going to projectile vomit, why not do it in a Walmart? And I'm like, bars, doing bits. Uh, but this is a person who reached out to me and was just trying to explain it from a perspective that I was unfamiliar with, from a place that I couldn't connect with because it's not something I'm experiencing. So, as I said on my post, and as I'll say now, I kind of just throw all myself out there and I try to be real. Um, I've given my number out several times on the show, 310-696-8151. If you're bummed, if you're in a place, if you're considering this, and call me, text me first so I know who you are, so you're not a spam caller. But I'll get on the phone with you. I'll talk to you as long as you want, as long as we need to. I've been so bummed before. When I lived in my car, man, they're like I still had the, I guess, constitution to just stay strong and stay positive, try to push through it. I remember this weekend where I was staying at Chris Porter's house. Chris Porter, hilarious comedian. He let me stay in his apartment when he was on the road for a week, and he lives over, or at the time he lived over off of Franklin near Hollywood Bowl. So there was very little parking there, and so you had to like hunt and find parking. And I remember that I had $100 to my name, maybe $100. Now, let's not talk about how stupid I am. I was so stubborn that I made the decision on my own. It was my own decision that I just was not going to work at anything other than entertainment or writing or TV. I just was not going to do a day job. I did that for years and years and years. And then I ended up falling in love with the day job because I love to work so much. So I was like, when I come to California, I'm going to do it. I burned through my money and I wasn't working frequently. I wasn't getting a lot of gigs. It's impossible to get work here in LA. You can't survive working here on just stand-up shows. You make like best case scenario, $200 a week, if that, but you spend about 30 of it in parking and commuting there. Um, so I remember I found this parking space and it was right at the top of the street near Franklin, and I don't know what the other street was, but like I'm pointing at it like like that's where it was. And so it was the first space, and I was like, this is amazing. I don't have to move my car for 2 days. Everything will be great. And so then I remember he had food in his freezer, and he's like, dude, I don't care if the food's missing when I come back. So I was like, super, frozen pizza. Chris Porter, great dude. Go see his stand up. Awesome. And I get to the car when it's time for me to leave, and the fucking car won't start. My battery's dead. I open the hood and there's like all that gook coming out of the car. I'm like, son of a bitch. So I have to walk to a fucking Murray's Discount Auto, and I have to call my dad. I'm like, Dad, I need $200 for a battery because BMW batteries aren't cheap. And at the time, it was $200. And he's like, what are you doing, buddy? Like, what's going on with your life? What are you doing? Is this how you want to live? I'm like, no, absolutely not. I said, but I'm going to get through it. I'm going to figure it out. There was no thought of I could end it all because I don't want to deal with this. I was just positive, and I kept saying to myself, this is not how my story ends. This isn't the end for me. I will get through this. I firmly believe that if you're going through something and you have the sharpness mentally, things do change. Like they do get better. Like they just do. Is it possible that for some situations they don't? Maybe. But you got to exercise all options. I just don't understand that if he knew how much people loved him, I don't know if he would have done this. But I could be wrong. He could have just had so many dark thoughts that, like my friend said in the text messages, he didn't want anybody to stop him. Excuse me. Because if he said, I'm unhappy, I'm sad, I'm thinking about ending it, I just wanted to know you're funny, I would have called him constantly, incessantly. He didn't want that. He threw me a curveball. He's like, my health isn't doing good. It's declining. So I wouldn't think that he was going to hang himself or however he passed. I think he left a sign on the door that, and no one, they didn't find him for several days. And the sign said, don't come in, trust me, call the police. So I'm assuming it was either an overdose or he hung himself. And I feel like an asshole because the day I was texting with him, I wrote the joke. Whenever I think about Chris Cornell, I get all choked up. If you remember, 8 years ago, Chris Cornell hung himself in Detroit at the Pontchartrain Hotel after a show. And I wasn't, listen, suicide, I'm not unfamiliar with it in my family. I've had history with it. And like my dad had these suicidal bouts. And I remember times he would call me up and be like, I'm sitting here with a handgun on my lap. And he's like, and you know how Newbergs do it? We end it. And I'm like, what? We do? What are you talking about? No, we don't. He's like, we have a flair for the dramatic. Maybe on stage, maybe telling jokes. So I can't tell you how many times I had to talk him down. And I would yell at him. I'd be like, you motherfucker. Like, what am I going to do? Drive there? And, and I was able to talk him out of it technically till he killed himself with excess. It's a long story. But I guess once he decided he was done, I guess I couldn't stop him. I guess that makes sense. So I guess there's no possible way for me to have stopped what happened. But I will remember him for being a fantastic friend, a hilarious peer, a talented musician, a knowledgeable pop culture fella, and a great cook. Like I talked to him so many times about cooking. I think he's done like 2 or 3 episodes of the show at the beginning. There was talk of him even doing like a weekly cooking segment. I couldn't figure it out. But I loved you, buddy. And I mean, you knew it. I said it to you while you were alive. I'm saying it now. I miss you, and I'm gonna miss you, and it's tough. So again, anybody, if you're going through it, please know for whatever consolation, if you don't have anybody, and you call every single person, and your parents, and your girlfriend, or your boyfriend, or your best friend, or your close friends, and they're not available for whatever reason, maybe they're all at a concert of mine. What? Then text me. Or call me, literally, text first, 310-696-8151. Anybody who's ever paid attention to me deserves my attention. Yeah, so that's what I wanted to say. And I've been doing advice guys too, because I got in my head for a while that like nobody wants to listen to me just talk. And I don't know why I thought that. And I don't know why I think that still. Sometimes it's just like it feels self-indulgent, but then I look at the analytics and those episodes get actually more than the advice guy stuff. And the advice guy stuff is so fun. The chemistry between Hannah, Josh, and I is great. It's super fun. We get questions. You write questions in. Thank you for writing questions in to adviceguys11@gmail. You follow the follower count is growing on YouTube. at Newberg Pod. It's great. I'm so appreciative. Uh, so, but I just had so much on my head, and I wanted to get it out. So I started. So I just was like, after, like, I sat on the couch last night, numb. I just sat and just like was like, what the fuck? Like, what's it all mean? You know? And then I woke up this morning too early, and then I went back to sleep, and then I went for like a 6 mile walk, and then I meditated. I did some yoga. And I still had it on my brain, so I was like, fuck it, I gotta talk. I got to get this off my head. So I don't know if this helped anybody or not, and I don't know if it will help anybody or not. But for the remaining period of the show, I haven't done it in a while. I just wanted to read some jokes to you. I want to read some jokes. Here we go. Um, these are the jokes. I'm going back and reading the jokes from 519 until yesterday. So here it is. Thing about Chris Cornell, and it's hard not to get choked up. Oh, I'm the worst. It's a funny joke, but not to anybody who's dealing with, oh, Jesus. Sesame Street's coming to Netflix. Can't wait to binge Bert and Ernie after dark. Because Netflix isn't just going to have regular Sesame Street. It's going to be like slutty Sesame Street, and it's going to open on two puppets blowing each other. You know what I mean? And then someone's going to get mad and be like, I knew, but I didn't know. And then whatever. Oh my gosh. Moody's just downgraded Michigan's Great Lakes to the pretty good lakes. Yikes. Yesterday, I walked into Barney's Beanery to get some chili for Michelle. She likes chili, y'all. She likes chili. And I walked in to get the chili, and I had my Michigan hat on and a Detroit shirt. And the guy goes, Great Lakes. And I said, pretty good lakes. He goes, pretty good lakes. Great Lakes. I'm like, yeah, I was just making a joke. What, it's not good fishing there? I was like, how do I get out of this conversation? Because that's the one thing about Michigan people. Like, Michigan people, they want to talk about Michigan. They want to tell you where they're from. They want to do the hand thing. They want to just talk about. And I'm just like, in this moment, I'm like, I'm just trying to get chili, man. That's all I want. I want chili. Great Lakes, pretty good lakes. I got a new movie out. It's premiering at the Cannes Film Festival, opposite of Cannes. Yeah, that one didn't do great. That's okay. I keep writing because I know not everything's great, but I know that eventually the next thing could be. Let's see. R.I.P. George Wendt on the 20th. He passed. And then I said, but how cool would it be if when he got to heaven, everyone was like, Norm? I think that'd be neat. George Wendt made so many people happy. I think it'd be cool if they should make a hard rock Barbie and call her Heavy Mattel. Come on, son. These are just crushing these jokes. Golden Dome was trending. I think that's like some political thing, like our version of Israel's dome or the missile thing that protects us. But I got Golden Dome once from a female rapper with a grill. Am I right? No one hates comedy more than a restaurant or bar audience that didn't know there was going to be a show. You ever done that as a performer, musician, comedian? You go to do a show at a restaurant and the restaurant hasn't really told everybody. They're all just eating. And then you're like, what's up, yo? What's going on? Yuck, 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 yuck. And everyone's just like, fuck off. They just hate you. Anyways, if your pet has an Instagram page, just take a minute. Just figure out where everything went wrong. That's just to be silly, but got a bunch of people mad. Like, my pet has an Instagram page. You can't talk about my corgi. I'm glad the tush push is still legal because now I know what I'm doing Saturday night. Come on. Having a bunch of followers on Twitter is like owning a house on Baltic Avenue, Monopoly reference, because I'm old. At this point, doesn't it kind of feel like the mission is possible? Doing well. Tyrese Halliburton is Reggie Miller 2.0. Justin Bieber got into a fight with his wife. And I write a lot of jokes. Justin Bieber got into a fight with his wife, and he told her that you'll never be on the cover of Vogue. And then she became on the cover of Vogue. Then she sold her company for $1 billion. She's a billionaire now. And I'm like, for what it's worth, he also told me that I would never be on the cover of Vogue. I wish there was a middle-aged Eminem, and he was called Thick Shady. That'd be cool. Let's see. I can tell you're part dinosaur, girl, because I think I can see your clitosaur. Like, not even a word. Not even a word. Old joke. Um, oh, this one got made so many people mad because this was when I guess they said they're not allowing people from another country to apply to Harvard. And I was like, I guess that I just downloaded the application to Harvard. It was only one page, and all it asked me is if I was white. People were like, "That's bullshit." Obviously, great work, detective. Let's see. Uh, so many people have walked a mile in Steve Madden's shoes. Just so many people. Uh, I think if you were to ask Jeffrey Dahmer, what celebrity would he sleep with, live or dead, I think he would say dead. Um, I wrote rest is the new hustle. We're doing good. Theory: if Carlos Mencia beat Joe Rogan in that battle at the Comedy Store, I think he'd be the one with the podcast. They should make a hot Chick-fil-A. I was going to do a Waymo joke, but it basically writes itself. More like you, Heil. Am I right, ladies? Only a couple more. Take it easy. Don't get upset. Um, let's see. With nothing more than a suitcase and a dream, my grandparents came over from the old country buffet. The WNBA without Caitlin Clark is like January 6th without Pabst Blue Ribbon. That was triggering to many. A cool name for a pet sitter would be Dog Walker, Texas Ranger. Um, Tourette syndrome is named after George Gillis de la Tourette, or as he called himself, George Cock Balls, Arizona de la Tourette. Let's see. Sydney Sweeney selling her bathwater. Gross. I wish let's see. This is a stupid joke. It's ever studied abroad? I mean, really? Studied her? 42% of Gen Z say monogamy is outdated. And I heard this when I was out dating several of them. 42% to be exact. All right, everybody, listen. Again, I'm here for you. If you need anything, you know how to reach out to me. You know how to find me. Uh, I'm here. Have a good day. Stay positive. I believe that you can get through it, whatever it is. I really do. Um, and there's so many people who love you. There's so many people who love you, um, or like you a lot, or just want to bang you because you have a swimming pool. But there's a lot of people who care about you and your swimming pool.